sparrows, party animals. That's what we're talking about, parties. And how many people here like parties? I don't know anybody that does not like a party. You kind of have to be dead to not like a party. I got to tell you a funny story that happened to me when I was 13, a couple of years ago when I was 13. And I was playing basketball on a Saturday morning. And my friend the day before said, "Hey, why don't you come over to my house after basketball?" I go, "Yeah, okay, that sounds good." And so I played basketball, and this was in April, and it was actually my birthday that day. It was a Saturday, and so I went and played basketball, and then I got my bike. I rode down the road, and if I turned to the left, I would go to my house. If I turned to the right, I would end up going to my friend's house. So I got to the intersection. I thought, I'm really tired. I'm just going to go home. So I just went home. About 4 o'clock that afternoon, my phone rings. I answer, and it's my friend. He goes, "Where were you?" I go, "Oh, I just got tired. I just went home." He goes, "We had a surprise party for you. Everybody was here. You weren't." I go, "What?" I go, "Are there gifts? Can I get them still?" But I missed out on the party. And Jesus actually has an incredible story about a party. And I'm going to go through it with you and talk a little bit about it. Jesus said, "A man prepared a great feast, great party, and he sent out invitations." Back when I was a kid, there was no online anything. It didn't exist. You actually would get a card in the mail about you're invited to a party. When the banquet was ready, when the party was ready, he sent his servants to tell the guests, "Come, the banquet is ready. It's time for the party." And the way they would do this back then, it was like a save the date card they would give them. And then when the actual time of the party came, then there'd be another call. "All right, we're ready. Come on." So, but they all began making excuses. One said, "I've just bought a field and must inspect it. Please excuse me." Another said, "I have just bought 5 pairs of oxen and I want to try them out. Please excuse me." Another said, "I now have a wife, so I can't come." So what's going on with these people? They've been invited to a party, and it's a special invitation. When you get invited to something like this, it's a big deal. It's special. You have been chosen. You have been invited. But guess what? They all begin to make these lame excuses. They really don't want to come. They're just too busy. And what Jesus is actually talking about here, he's inviting us to his party. And it's going to be a big party in heaven we're invited to be a part of. But a lot of people in our world, and I'm praying that we are not any of these people in the world, are just too busy. They're too busy with work, too busy with 1,000 things, too busy to take that invitation from Jesus seriously to be a part of his party. So they make excuses and they don't end up coming and they don't experience it. Well, it continues on. The servant returned and told his master what they had said. His master was furious. God is giving an invitation, and he wants us to be a part of it. But if we say no, he's kind of, "Okay, fine. Then you lose." So what does he say? "Go quickly into the streets and alleys of the town and invite the poor, the crippled, the blind, the lame." These were the people in this society. Nobody wanted these people at their party. Nobody. They were considered cursed of God. They were considered, we don't want friends exposed to you. And he's talking about people with disabilities here. He's talking about how people treat people with disabilities, not wanting them to be around. That still goes on today. But you know what? The master of this party, not for him. He wants them there. He says to servants, you go find them and bring them there, bring them here. Because Jesus has a high view of you. The funny thing about this is the ones who are invited totally miss out. The ones that nobody would ever invite, he says, go get them, invite them in. Little side comment here. I read this passage back in 1980 when I just met kids with disabilities and knew them for a month. And I was very awkward and insecure and didn't know how to relate to these new friends. And I read this and I realized, and the Lord really spoke to me. He said, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so I took that seriously and I began to engage with these new friends and became friends with them. That's what launched my ministry to kids with disabilities around the world. That's in 40 countries now, 400 cities. That's going on. That was because of this story, because Jesus wants our friends with disabilities, wants you to be a part of his great, great banquet. You are chosen. You are invited. You are included. You are celebrated. What does that really mean? It means you accept the invitation. It means, Jesus, yes, I want you in my life and I want to be at your party. That's what it means. The servant returned and told his master what they had said. After the servant had done this, he reported there is still room for more at the party. So the master said, go out into the country lanes and behind the hedges and urge anyone you find to come so that my house will be full. For none of those I first invited will get even the smallest taste of my banquet. There is going to be, at the end of time, millions and millions and millions of people who missed out, who were too busy and said no to the invitation. But guess what? You are high at the top of his list on the invitation. And my question to you and to myself is, will we say yes? Will we say to Jesus, yes, I'm coming. I'll be there. I want to be with you and the other people that you've invited. So remember, you're invited, you're chosen, you're included, and you're celebrated. Amen.